Hello, hello. Welcome to the conversation today. I am super excited to be hosting Anthony Trucks, a former NFL player turned transformational identity shift coach. Someone I'd first listened to on the Influencer Summit, and he was magnetic. Just had to have him on the show, and I am so grateful that he said yes. So, without further ado, I bring to you Anthony.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, thank you so much. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm hanging out. It's been a good day. It's like my Friday because I take off tomorrow for a speech. So I'm here hanging out with my family before I take off tomorrow.
Awesome. And it's just turned midnight for us. And wow,
Oh, it's late.
it
Yeah,
doesn't matter. It's always the right time to have a good conversation, isn't it?
it's true. Yes, I'd agree.
Yes. And today we're talking about dark work. So let's hear it from you what dark work actually means.
Yeah, dark work is the work you do in the dark so you can shine in the light. So anybody that has a goal to create something, become something like that, that is the light. And if you want to shine bright in that light, you have to do things in the dark that are the work that no one sees. That's sometimes unsupported. It's unsexy. It's misunderstood, it's ridiculed by people, but that's what you do so that over time you show up in the light and you have this what I call a dark work mentality. That is, I've done too much work in the dark to lose in the light. And so it's a different way of showing up in the later moments based on how you do the work to prepare right now.
Hmm. It's almost the work that you're doing when you're going through a struggle, a rough time.
Yeah. I mean, part of it's not always a rough time though, because maybe let's say I decide I want to, I don't know, I want to build a business. There's gonna be a lot of things that you do the world doesn't see. The meetings, the
Right.
calls, the conversations, the missed appointments, the canceling of plans with your friends, the sacrifices. No one sees that, and no one celebrates you when you do that. But if you don't do certain things, you won't have the outcome you desire. But that's the stuff in the dark. That's the stuff the world never sees you do, and only you know you do. But you have pride that you did it. So because you did it, you will not let yourself lose.
Hmm. It's the foundation.
Yeah,
And how important is the foundation as a person moves forward?
it's incredibly important. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. There's no way to be able to move forward because you have a sticky, loose, whatever foundation, you'll fall flat when things get hard. We're all going to face something difficult at some point in time. We're all going to have some situation that arises and occurs to where we are challenged. And if I have no foundation to stand on, to step into, then I actually can't push forward the way I need to.
Hmm. Hmm. And you've had a rough time. And for those of the people who are going to be watching this conversation and aren't acquainted with your work or your past, tell us a little
Mhm.
bit about how what shifts came through the orphanage, um, the
Mhm.
accident.
Yeah.
Just tell us a little
I
bit
grew up.
on.
Yeah, I was in foster care and was given away. So I guess we have it's supposed to orphanages here. We have most of it's like group homes or foster homes, right? So
Yes.
it's people that take care of you that aren't your family, and they get paid to do it. So I had a lot of hard things happen in the families. They wouldn't feed me. They'd beat me, they'd starve me. I'd have weird stuff take place, and for a long time, like that is what I expected to be normal. I thought that was what everybody was experiencing, and the reality was it was not. And it wasn't until I got older I noticed. But yeah, you start to when you experience that kind of pain, like and that kind of pride, I guess really negative feelings in your life, over time you start getting a little bit more hard, a little less joyous, a little less happy. And it becomes hard to have like the peace and all the stuff you need. But then it starts to make you think you're not supposed to have more. That's the thing when you have a
Hmm.
hard experience in your head, you go, well, I guess this is what I'm supposed to have. I don't get any more. And you lose the shimmer of hope to go do something great. And that usually becomes something that people take in their adult years and they just think that life is supposed to feel this way and they're not supposed to have great things and it's supposed to be. And thankfully, at moments in time in the past where I woke up from that and I didn't realize that that was, or didn't think that that was actually the reality we all had. But that was like, yeah, a lot of my early life was just horrible in that manner.
Hmm. There are times when you go through stuff and you just can't speak to anybody about it because because everybody expects you to be strong. So,
Hmm.
for instance, when you go through a loss, when you go through a mishap, something goes wrong, you're expected to know what to do. So, how
Yeah.
important is it for you to be with the right people? and understand that you are yourself your own leader on some days, on all days
Well, I
actually.
think yeah, it's everybody. It's not, yeah, this everybody ties into it. It's not always just one individual person or, something like that. But I mean, there's a lot that goes into that feeling, but you have to have a part where you tap into yourself and realize that you're all you need. Yeah, yes, I have people in my life I love and I need them, but at the core of it, if it all settled in and something had to happen, I can't rely upon everybody else. I have to actually lean on me. Like there's got to be a point in time when I lean on my abilities and what I got to get done so that I can accomplish things I need to later. Because I can't have somebody come save my life. It's just not how it works. Like I have to be responsible for my life. So even if something happens that was not my fault, it still becomes my
Mm,
responsibility to improve my life. If I don't, no one else is going to take the responsibility over, and just fix my life for me. So I have to actually do that.
yep. So when we've chatted before, and I've told you about this, about Papa passing and the children leaving the nest and everything kind of going downwards for me. And in that
Yeah.
one conversation with my son, he looked at me and he said, "What have you been up to?" And I pushed him away, saying, "You don't speak to me like that. I'm your mother." And he
Yeah.
said, "All of that is fine. What about accountability?" And
Mm.
that's what got me thinking, and going back to the drawing board and understanding what resources do I have that I can help myself move forward. And that's where the daily lives started for me. The ones that I
Yeah.
spoke to you about, the 1551 days that I did back to back. You
That's
did
awesome.
nightly
I did
90.
less. I nightly 90s and I did
Yeah.
1,333. So you were better than me.
Okay, no, that's not what I was saying. I what made you start doing those daily lives? Because they were so
I wanted to,
refreshing.
yeah, I appreciate that. I think for me, it was all a matter of wanting to, I guess it was mostly just wanting to have an outlet. I wanted to cathartically be able to share stuff, but then I also wanted to find a way to develop a skill set that I needed to be able to talk and speak extemporaneously, which means I can formulate thought in real time and speak from it without having to have a script or something that is guiding the conversation at all times. So that was a great way for me to really build that muscle and skill set. So I leaned into it, and it was supposed to be short and quick. It wasn't anything crazy. Next thing I know, I'm a year in, 2 years in, 3 years into doing it. And about 3.5 years when I decide like I'm going to venture into some new stuff. And now I do a daily podcast. I'm at episode 600, I want to say, or like 610 ish of a daily weekly podcast. So 5 days a week, I do a podcast.
The title of the podcast, please.
It's called the Shift Starter Daily. And
600.
if you go to
Wow,
shiftstarterdaily.com, you can actually subscribe to listen to it.
lovely. Tell me about the importance of consistency.
Oh, it's the key, man. Like, everybody always talks about going big, but I've always been a big proponent, if you want to call it, of going small in a big way. Like finding ways to do the things nobody else will do. That's a smaller aspects because those little itty bitty pieces are really the ones that are the game changers. I think for people, it's what you do that no one else would do long term. Because everybody will do it for a day, they'll do it for a couple of weeks, but you don't have a 1% amazing life. Like like we'll call it the people that and the 1% of humans that have an amazing life. You don't get there by doing what 99% of people do. And so the 99% will try something, it'll be hard, and they'll stop doing it over time. But it's the ones who do it consistently for a long period of time, whatever it is, that becomes the 1% of those in life who get that extra level. So the consistency of stuff is, I mean, life is the most consistent thing. As long as you're alive, you're consistently living, right? So
Yes.
if you're going to live, like, and you're going to be doing things that are going to be amazing, it's going to be you sticking to something for a long period of time to get the results you desire. It's not always easy. And in fact, the hardest time to do it's the starting point. I'm on day 2 of intermittent fasting right now. Just randomly, I was like, I'm gonna start doing this, and I started doing it. So now I'm not eating till now. I can eat now, and I have it's noon where I'm at, and so I can eat at 12 o'clock. And so I'm gonna go get a bite to eat here in a little. We're done. But like that's my window. But I'm gonna try this, and it's hard. I'm starving right now, but that's the only way to settle
Mm,
into something. But the more consistently I do it, the better health I'll be in, the better shape I'll be in. The hopefully, assuming I did the right choice. But that's the only way I'm going to get the result of it. Not because I chose to do it yesterday and did it for a day and go, oh, sucks. No, I got to try to
mm,
stay somewhat consistent to it.
absolutely. And when you gave that example of intermittent fasting, what I picked up was you can't keep waiting to be ready for something. Sometimes
No,
it's important to just jump into it, right?
yeah, you can. I mean, to an extent, yes. I think there is something to. the ability for someone to have, yes, like the jump in kind of feeling, we'll call it, and
Mhm.
really be able to stick to it. But for me, like, yeah, it's the idea that like I can wait till a certain point in time that's gonna be perfect to do it, but likely it's never always perfect. And if I can just hop in and realize that there's gonna be some adjusting to things, then I'm okay with it. I'm okay with
Mm.
adjusting to certain things. That makes sense. So yeah, I find myself in situations where like I'm just gonna try that and do it. But I know who I am. And I also don't attach myself to the thing to where if I don't do it, I hate myself. If I decided to get off
Mm.
this intermittent fasting, because it doesn't fit, cool. But I'm not gonna really be able to get a good judge of it and really validate the idea unless I go the distance with it in some manner.
Mm. And you talk a lot about letting things go,
Hmm.
and and that's so important, isn't it? Because we hold on to so much of baggage, so many labels, so many limiting beliefs that we might have about ourselves, about others, their assumptions that we come to. So how
Yeah.
do you then get to give me three pointers on how you can let things go?
Let things go. First one is to realize that the people that are doing things to you, typically they're not doing things to us to maliciously hurt us. It's usually they're doing something selfish for themselves and it hurts and affects us negatively. So you can give a little bit of grace. Like, and so it's kind of like accepting that the person kind of sucks. That's the case. Not that they're like a horrible human, but like they are in that area, they're not the greatest. So if I am going to hold on to that, it's almost pointless because they're probably not going to notice they need to work on it. They're not going to be making adjustments. So what do you do? So it's that one part of it. I think the other part of letting things go is letting it go if you've learned a lesson from it, right? If I've got something of value from what it is, I can go, okay, that happened. Wasn't the greatest. It sucked. I messed up. I learned that lesson. Let me let that go so I can apply the lesson. Because if you keep latching onto it and you don't actually learn the lesson from it, then what happens? It just sticks around and then you never actually get over it. It just keeps stewing in the background. And I think it always becomes some that comes at a surface in the wrong way, right? So if I, as an example, say I didn't get over the fact that somebody, I don't know, hurt me, they hurt my feelings, doing whatever they were choosing to do. And I kept sitting with that, never took a lesson from it. Every time I was in a new situation with somebody else, I would always have that sitting there, waiting for someone to prove that point right or that to happen again. Whereas if I go, well, this person hurt me, but it was because I was, I don't know, not being aware of what the signs they were giving me, right? They were telling me who they were. I just wasn't listening. Well, now next time it happens, I can pay attention. And then what happens? I see the signs again. I go, oh, nope, cutting this tie. And you cut it off. And then now I don't have to wait later on and go, man, I hate what happened because I didn't see it. Like, no, I saw it. I learned a lesson. I don't have to repeat the lesson. So that's another thing of letting things go is by understanding the situation that's driving them in the background. Then I think the third thing with letting people or letting things go is it frees your mind up to go after what you want most. If you hold that space in your head for something that's not the greatest and it's causing you some crazy, you're actually holding up space to do something great, to be happier, to be more peaceful, to be in joy with people, whatever it is. It holds a space, and you're not connected to other humans or people you may know. And so now that I'm in that space of lack of connection, I'm missing out on what could be because I'm stewing on what was.
I like that. Missing out on what could be because I'm staring at what was. That is so, so powerful. Thank you. Um, Success. When I think of the word success, everybody has their own definition.
Yeah.
What's your definition of success?
My definition is control. That's it.
Hmm.
Control is there's that we call it freedom, and I think freedom is great. Like I want to have freedom, and I go, yeah, but some people are actually free to pick a job they hate or be in a relationship they don't want to be in. Like there's still freedom, but there's a lack of control for a lot of people. And
Hmm.
it's not to say that you can't be happy without it, but my definition of success is like I have control of my life. I don't have to ask somebody for 2 weeks off. I want to go somewhere. I don't have to worry about not being able to afford something I might want to buy. I don't have to worry about I don't know, being forced to do certain like work things if I don't feel like doing them. I can cancel my day. It wouldn't be nice to people like yourself, right? I'd be like, but I could easily be like, hey, I can't make today. And I'm gonna, I have control. And so for me, it's that. Or if I want to be able to, take a trip with my family somewhere, just go, right? We can do that. I have control of my life. The only thing that holds us back is the commitments we choose to be committed to, sports
Hmm.
or something with work. Like that's what we choose to. But the control is the biggest, and that control doesn't have to be $10 billion. It ain't got to be, it's like whatever your level of income is, or your level of joy or peace or whatever. It might not be even income. Maybe it's just freedom of heart and mind to express yourself. You can control your environment, whatever it is. I believe success is tied to my ability to have control of my life.
Hmm. So it's somewhere related to ownership, taking ownership of your life, putting in the effort, and then getting to that point of being successful enough to have control of your life. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you can see it like that. Yep.
Okay. So when we look at the dark work, it's stuff that you do independently on your own. You're working through stuff. You're doing all the things that matter to you. We
Hmm.
live in a world of instant validation. We're looking and hungry for likes. It feeds our soul. We're constantly checking, looking. So how do you then keep the dark work to yourself? Keep that work private and important to yourself
I think you
when no one's
just
watching.
yeah, when no one's watching, I think it ends up being something where you stop looking at the world to make you feel good. That makes sense. Like I
Yeah.
don't need to have the world give me the feeling and the flow, whatever it is. I don't need the world to give me that sense of self. So I just need it for me. There's this
Hmm.
guy that when I played college football, there's a guy that had this shirt that said no sugar on it, and no sugar essentially the meaning is I do not need someone else to give me a sense of sweetness about who I am. I don't need it. I just need to know I'm a solid human. I'm happy. And that comes from me doing things that are not from the world's appreciation, glorification, celebration. It's just I do it for me. A lot of things I do and then refrain from doing that I'm proud of just myself for doing, and no one else will know about it. But here's the interesting thing: when I do enough of that, it's heavily tied to me feeling good about the things I did that day. Then I fight for myself differently when I want something, which is the light. When I want a job or I want to have something special for my family, like I fight differently because I know how much I've already done to earn that. I've already done the work behind the scenes that makes it to where like I'm going to battle for this. I'm not going to lose this thing I want the most because I have such a connected tie to how much I've already done sacrificially in the work to earn this moment right now.
Hmm. And some people who haven't seen the work that you've put in and all the effort that goes behind where you are right now, and I'm talking generically, might call a person lucky or and I think that's belittling a person's journey when you say they're lucky because
Mhm.
they've put in the effort. So I think it's time
Yeah.
that we learn to acknowledge that, we learn to appreciate that, and
Yeah.
take a step back and not give labels like, someone's lucky or whatever it is. um what do you have to say about the complainers?
I mean, it's gonna happen. I don't have to deal with them. I mean, personally, I'm not really too worried about it. People just do things. And there's gonna be
Hmm.
always people that complain about stuff and how bad it is. I determine whether or not I want to be around those people. I don't have a lot of humans in my life that complain very often. I don't
Hmm.
think because when you complain about something and you do nothing about it, that's a problem. I complain about stuff, but it's like I do something about it, or I just stop eventually complaining about it, or like worrying about it. But there are some
Hmm.
people that live a life with that. Like every single day, it's something that's not good, and then eventually just they're not good, happy humans. I need to be in people's vicinity that are happy with who they are and what they're doing and have peace. I don't need perfect humans, but I do need people to be human beings that I think are in a space of being joyful and are trying to
Hmm.
find a space of joy for themselves. Because if they're not doing that, then they're just trying to find a way to leech everybody else's happiness, and then never ends up being good for anybody involved.
True that. You use the P word. Perfect.
Mm.
I have a quote. I say the concept of perfection is flawed
Well, there's no
because
there's no true perfection that takes place.
exactly, because you can either be perfect or you can be real.
Yeah, I can see that. And I don't know if real is a perfect or real.
Hmm.
Trying to see if that settles in properly for my brain. Because it's on one side, real is an acceptance of a position I'm in, and I don't know if I always accept the position. Right? You can accept. So perfection says this is perfect, and then if I said
Hmm.
the opposite, or would be to be real, and what I'm really experiencing in this moment might only be real to me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
that's
it
what I
might
meant.
not be real. And there's something good or bad to that because you have to choose what reality you live in, right? Because if real, we'll call it real, is this goal that I have of I don't know making $1 million, right? If that's the goal, then I have to be real and go, all right. So what it takes to have that in my reality, say I'm a stupid person, is I just have to really hope for it. If I hope for it enough, it'll come, right? But then in the reality of the $1 million, it goes, no, you have to work for me. You have to do you have to physically do some stuff. So
Mm.
perfection in my head is less of the be real. It's more of like be aware of be aware of what the actual effort is that's necessary to accomplish what you want. You're not trying to be perfect to the truest sense of the word, which means no flaws. You're trying to be pursuing of perfection and in pursuit of it with a reality if you don't actually get it. It's like the actual carrot that sits on a horse's on a head on a stick, right?
Yep.
You can pursue the carrot forever and never actually get to the carrot. So it's the pursuit of perfection that moves the horse, and that horse might eventually get where it's supposed to be because it was chasing the stinking carrot. It'll never get the carrot, but if the horse is okay with chasing it, we'll be fine. And I think that's as a human, if I can be okay chasing the carrot, I'll be good. But if I'm only happy when I get the carrot, never going to be happy.
Hmm. True that. When from what you just said, what comes to mind is it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's about understanding and connecting with the journey of where you're going, right?
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
about understanding what matters to you, who's walking with you, what are the resources you have, what you're going to do when you get where you're going to get. It's just that sometimes people are so driven with where they need to be that they don't realize how much they are being molded and shaped as they move forward.
Hmm. Yeah, I think people don't, because every day is something going on, and I think people are wholly unaware of what's going on most days, and so yeah, they're just kind of going and flowing. Whereas the destination, the journey, like there's things where you create yourself as you go down them. There's a portion of who you are being unraveled every step of the way, and if you're unaware of how it's unfolding, then you may end up in a place and realize what it's unfolded to be, and not be too much of a fan about that place or who you've become on the journey to getting there.
Exactly who you become to. What I loved about what you shared and who you are, Anthony, is the humility you come with. And I'd like to thank you for the person that you are and how much you inspire us every day by just being yourself. And thank you for saying yes for this conversation. That really meant a lot to me.
Oh, very
Um,
welcome. We're almost at
thank
time, huh?
you.
Time flies.
Time flies. We still have another 5 minutes, um, but I didn't want to leave this for the last. So I thanked you once again. Um, I talk about the smile strategy. I created it when I did a TEDx talk. I wasn't a trained speaker at the time.
Mhm.
If you look at the video, you'd realize someone who's really nervous, but is very sure about their message. That's why I asked you, how important is it to jump into things without constantly waiting to be ready? You know, we constantly are waiting, preparing for that perfect time to do something, and
Yeah.
that time doesn't really come, and you are contemplating and
Usually.
contemplating, and then so much of preparation goes on. Analysis paralysis is what they call it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that happens. Yeah, I get that.
So then how do you rise above analysis paralysis?
I think it's a matter of being okay with failing a little bit. It's because if you're analyzing things, everything's going to go wrong. You stop because what might go wrong. And I think if you can get to the point I guess my thing would be to be okay with the fact that you might make a mistake. Then what happens? I'm not analyzing it too much to go bad. I'm going, I can't analyze without much data. I only get data by taking an action. Let me take an action so I can analyze the data. Most people
Hmm.
are apprehensive of taking action because the data may tell them that they messed up, and that's okay. But they're so deathly afraid of that they don't move forward. So I think there's something in that space where I think people need to be able to just have moments in time where they're not so freaked out and not going crazy about the failure aspect to it, and just settling into the fact that this is life, and man, it's okay to have a lesson be learned.
Hmm. Tell me, how important is it to manage your time?
Oh, it's important. If you don't, then your time gets away from you, and all the dreams and aspirations you might have, they end up being things that just they become wishes, and at some point you live with regret of what you could have done but didn't do because you weren't on the ball. So it's incredibly important. You have to do it.
Hmm. And when you slip and fall, how do you stand up again?
I mean, you just do. You lean on friends. You follow process. I think you try again with the new knowledge of what you just found out from slipping and falling. You know, it's a big piece of it. If you have something take place and it's like, all right, this took place, it all got messed up. All right, what happened? Why did it take place? Okay, has this happened? This happened? This happened? Okay, cool. I got that. Now let me try again because I just learned something. Now it's time to try again. I think without that, then you don't get back up because if I get back up, I'm just gonna fall down again, and there's nothing stopping it from happening. When the reality is, no, there is. It's just a matter of you actually being into a point where you're able to, in fact, how I explain this, you're able to, in fact, learn a lesson to apply it to improve and get better.
Hmm. Where does gratitude fit in the picture for you?
It gives you peace of mind. Know that what you're working towards is somewhere you're actually you're happy with what you have, even though you desire to have more. And so the energy I have because I'm grateful is way better than if I had energy based around not being grateful, being angry because I'm not grateful for what I do have. So gratitude's a humongous piece of me being able to be at peace with what I have, but also to keep pushing, like to keep fighting for more because I'm everything I get, I'm happy that I have.
Hmm.
And I do
So,
have to jump.
one last question. Um,
All right.
Complete this sentence for me. Boundaries are.
Boundaries are the way you make dreams come to life.
Thank you. Thank you so
Welcome.
much. Thank you,
No
Anthony, for
problem.
being with us. And I'm going to let you go. And it is on the
All right.
dot.
All
Good
right.
night.
Take care.
Have a great rest of the day. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
You too.